Welcome to Shadows of Oakwood Manor. In the fading light of a somber evening, the weary traveler trudged along the desolate road that wound its way through the dense forest surrounding the town of Oakwood. The ancient trees loomed overhead like silent sentinels, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, grasping at the twilight sky. As the traveler's footsteps echoed against the damp earth, a sense of foreboding settled over him like a heavy cloak, casting a pall over the already eerie landscape. Ahead, barely visible through the thick veil of mist that hung low over the horizon, loomed the silhouette of a long-forgotten, early Victorian mansion. Its crumbling facade stood as a testament to the ravages of time, its once grand architecture, now obscured by layers of ivy and neglect. To the traveler's eyes, the mansion appeared like a relic from a bygone era, a haunting reminder of the town's forgotten past. As he approached the mansion, a chill wind whispered through the trees, sending shivers down the traveler's spine. His breath misted in the cold air, and he pulled his coat tighter around him, steeling himself for what lay ahead. With each step closer to the looming edifice, the sense of unease that had gripped him since he first set foot on the road grew stronger, like a knot tightening at his chest. Suddenly, as if in response to his presence, a faint light flickered to life in the second-story window of the mansion. The traveler froze in his tracks, his heart pounding in his chest as he watched in silent awe. Was it merely a trick of the fading light, or had someone or something awakened within the depths of the ancient manor? As he pondered this unsettling sight, a shadowy figure materialized behind the tattered curtains, its form obscured by the darkness. The traveler's breath caught in his throat as he beheld the mysterious silhouette, its movements slow and deliberate as it seemed to peer out into the night. For a moment the two figures stood locked in a silent exchange, separated by the expanse of darkness that lay between them. And with a surge of courage born of desperation, the traveler called out into the night, his voice echoing against the silent walls of the mansion. "Is anyone there?" he called, his words swallowed by the stillness of the night. But there was no answer, only the haunting sound of the wind rustling through the trees and the distant cry of a lone owl. Undeterred, the traveler pressed onward, his footsteps echoing hollowly against the cobblestone path that led to the mansion's imposing entrance. But with each step closer to the ancient threshold, he felt the weight of centuries of history bearing down upon him, the whispers of the past echoing in his ears like ghostly murmurs. Finally, he stood before the massive oak doors of the mansion, their weathered surfaces marred by time and neglect. With trembling hands, he reached out and pushed against the heavy wood, the creaking hinges protesting as they swung open to reveal the darkness that lay beyond. Stepping into the dimly lit foyer, the traveler felt a chill run down his spine as he beheld the grandeur of the mansion's interior. Dust motes danced in the faint glow of moonlight that filtered through the stained glass windows, casting eerie patterns upon the walls. The air was thick with the scent of age and decay, and the silence that hung over the mansion was palpable, like a living thing. With cautious steps, the traveler ventured deeper into the mansion's labyrinth halls, his senses on high alert for any sign of life. Each room he explored held its own secrets and mysteries, from the faded portraits that lined the walls to the forgotten treasures that lay hidden in the shadows. But as he delved deeper into the heart of the mansion, he couldn't shake the feeling he was being watched. That unseen eyes followed his every move from the darkness that lurked just beyond his sight. Finally, he came upon a staircase that spiraled upward into the darkness, its steps worn smooth by the passage of time. With a sense of trepidation, he began to ascend, his steps echoing against the cold stone walls as he climbed ever higher into the unknown. With each step, the air grew heavier, the silence more oppressive, until at last he reached the top of the staircase and stood before the door to the second-story chamber where the light had first appeared. Taking a deep breath to steady his nerves, the traveler pushed open the door and stepped into the room beyond. What he beheld there would taunt him for the rest of his days, a scene straight out of his darkest nightmares, a tableau of horror that defied all reasoning and logic. For there, bathed in the sickly glow of the moonlight, stood the shadowy figure that had watched him from the window, a specter from a bygone era, its features twisted and contorted in a grotesque parody of humanity. With hollow eyes that gleamed with an otherworldly light, it fixed its gaze upon the traveler, its lips parting in a silent scream that echoed through the stillness of the night. In that moment, the traveler knew that he had stumbled upon something far more sinister than he had ever imagined, a darkness that lurked within the heart of Oakwood Manor, waiting to ensnare any who dared to venture too close. With a cry of terror, he turned and fled from the accursed mansion, his footsteps echoing against the cold stone floors as he raced back into the safety of the night. But even as he fled, he knew that he would never fully escape the horrors that he had witnessed within the walls of Oakwood Manor. For in that ancient mansion, a darkness slept, a darkness that hungered for souls and would stop at nothing to claim its next victim. And so, as the moon sank below the horizon and the first light of dawn painted the sky with hues of crimson and gold, the traveler vowed never to return to that cursed place, to leave behind the shadows of Oakwood Manor and the nightmares that haunted its halls, for fear that one day they might consume him whole.